Oh! Ah, yes. What's up guys, Hobbo88 here and welcome back to iRacing for another track preview. iRacing this week has done a stealth drop here of the new dirt version of Oswego Speedway. This track released in the last build in its pavement variations, but the dirt layout has only just been released. Obviously, those that aren't aware, this is regularly a pavement circuit, a 5/8 mile oval in New York, and once a year they convert this to dirt so that they can run the Super Dirt Week on it. And they bring in a bunch of barriers and a bunch of dirt and adjust the track just for 1 week of the year every year. Have done since 2016, I think it was. And so now we're going to jump in here mid-season, unlike usual, and check out the dirt version here of Oswego Speedway. So, as always, we're going to kick things off right here with our Dirt Legend, and we're going to go through and take a look through with a bunch of the different dirt cars on the iRacing service. So, without any further ado, let's hit the track. Okay, here we go. Let's go out and hit the track. Take a little bit of a look around. First, we'll check out the complex and we'll see what we can get into here. Can we go down here? You guys can't see much, so we can get here onto the very infield section of the track. Got a heap of parking for haulers and stuff like that. There's nothing by the look of it down that way at all, except for a couple of porta potties and some cones. So let's head back this way and check it out. Got this little building here, which so we've got a garage maybe for tech inspections, and this looks like it might be, maybe even, is it a toilet block or is it, I'm not sure. That's just an office building by the look of it. So you can get out on the infield here, which is pretty cool. The pit's obviously on the inside of the main straight. And this is where you can see it's all paved. So normally a pavement circuit. There's a little escape road down here on the inside, heading onto the backstretch, and another entry into the infield there with a picnic table. But it's not the only one of these tracks on the sim to have a paved and a dirt version of the track, like USA Speedway at Lakeland is another example. Lanier also has multiple variations, so it's cool to see this. It's cool to see them do it in real life, but it's also cool for us to do it here on iRacing. Excuse me. But this is going to be interesting because this is a bit bigger track than what we usually run on. It's a 5/8 mile, so one of the bigger dirt tracks here on the sim. We're going to go out and get this Dirt Legend up to speed and see what it's like. As always, I'm just using the iRacing baseline setups that are provided for the cars, so no custom setups or anything like that. And at the minute it's morning for the time of day and 0% track state, so a heavy track. No slick at all out here at the minute. Obviously the problem with something like the Dirt Legend is that when the track is big like this, and there are a couple of cars that we'll be driving that are similar, when the track is big like this, there's not a whole lot of challenge. It's pretty much just flat out. But it gives me a chance to talk about the track a little bit itself. So I have done videos of this particular dirt version of this track on R Factor before. I had a mod that apparently was very hard to find. I just happened to have it, which was of one of the really early builds of this track when it was done back in 2016, 2017. I sort of remember, and you guys who are watching might be able to help me here, but I remember there being a bit of controversy about the quality of the dirt, and it was really, really rough. And that particular mod that I had from R Factor was really well modeled to be like that those early versions of this track when they put dirt on it. And in spots the holes had asphalt in the bottom of them where the dirt just came up completely, and it was rough as anything. It's one of my favorite R Factor mods that I ever got to race on in the modifieds, the big block modifieds. So I have done laps around Oswego before, on the sim. But that was years and years and years ago, and I'm keen to check it all out here again. And it feels very familiar. Turn 3 and 4 here, not so much, but turns 1 and 2, it's sort of fairly characteristic. I feel like it feels really familiar. The track is really wide down here on the entry, and I mean the track surface is quite wide everywhere, but it does feel like it tightens up a bit, and there's a couple of like dips in the road, particularly around turn 2. The whole surface feels like it dips. And I sort of remember that. It seems to feel familiar. It's an odd shape too. So turn 1 is quite open, and it certainly tightens up through turn 2. Turns 3 and 4 perhaps a little bit more straightforward. But turn 1 is certainly very open. Then turn 2 tightens up. It's kind of like the opposite of Weed Sport, where it's sort of tight in turn 1 and opens in turn 2. I feel like this is a little bit the opposite. And I suspect that's going to give us a little bit of trouble later on when we're in some of the other cars. So, I mean, that's what it is. That's the track. You've had a bit of a look at it here now, and you can see what it looks like. We're going to go ahead and park up the Legend here. The next car we're going to check out is the Street Stock. So we'll see what that's like. We'll come back here right after this. Alright everybody, let's check out the Street Stock, which I think will also be a fairly slow car around here. I mean, it's a big track. The Street Stock is not an exceptionally fast car. But we'll do a few laps here anyway and see what it's like. And just sort of see as we go up over the mound there where the dirt's been dropped in on top of the racing surface. Now, I've moved the time of day up to midday. And I just realised as well when I was launching here for the Street Stock, I think I oh my gosh, I had the track set to automatically generate, so I have no idea what the track wear was like there in that last session. After all, it obviously wasn't very slick, but we've got it on 0% now for this one, so you can see what it's like with absolutely no wear on the track at all. So the old Street Stock, pretty cumbersome. Did not want to turn in at all to turn 1 on the first go. It's very tight on the entry to 3 as well. So the baseline setup is not great, but it's probably also the characteristic of the car. So I'm still trying to figure out how to get the thing to sort of slide into the corner without getting tight. That was a bit better. Tricky. It's interesting too, like the banking's really doesn't feel very uniform. Feels like it sort of flattens out and steepens up in different spots. Feels really flat down here on the entry to 3, but then as you get further through the corner here in 4, it feels like it sort of banks a little bit more, which is something I didn't really notice in the Legend, but I'm noticing it now as I'm in a bit of a bigger and perhaps faster car. I don't know how much faster this is than the Legend, but I think that we'll certainly feel that a lot more when we get into the bigger cars as we go further through. It's actually a lot more enjoyable than I thought it would be to drive this car around. I don't often like the Street Stock. It just feels really heavy and big and lumpy and like, I don't know. But around here, it almost feels a little bit like you've got to wheel it enough that you could probably kind of race them around here and it wouldn't be that bad. It's just not as easy as drive down to the corner, turn in, make the corner, and drive very slowly off. I feel like you could perhaps race around here, especially if the track changes a bit. I am certainly now noticing as well as we're into a heavier car that the surface is a bit bumpier than I realised. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that transpires as we change into some of the faster cars and the track wears more as well. But for sure you can sort of even probably see the car bouncing a lot as it goes through the corners. They're very interesting. Not going to spend much more time on it here with this car. We got the UMP Modified next, so I'm keen to see how that goes around here. And obviously looking forward to the Modifieds when we get to them, because they are the cars that you expect to see racing around here. Sportsmen's and Modifieds predominantly in Super Dirt Week. So let's call it a day there on the street stock, and we'll come back in the UMP Modified next and check that out. Alright, we'll fire this one up. Head out on track if we can. There we go. UMP Modified. I'm looking forward to this. I really like these cars. They're normally good fun. And I feel like this will be the first time we really get to experience whereabouts the walls are and how tight the corners can be. Particularly turn 2 I'm looking at the most to be a problem for that. I do really like driving these cars. So let's see. Let's see what it's like. We've got the iRacing provided Oswego dirt setup specifically for this car. You never really remember exactly how a car's going to drive until you get 1 or 2 laps in, because I don't drive any of these cars except for in these videos. Here we go. Oh yeah. Well, it doesn't feel too bad. I left the track state the same, and still midday for the time of day on this one. When we get in the next car, we're going to start cranking that up. But after the way that the street stock didn't like the corners, I thought I'd leave it nice and easy for the time being. Oh yeah. It does feel like turn 1 and 2, particularly turn 2, is going to be very tight. Like, it'll be hard to race people side by side through here. Try and run the bottom a little bit, and we can, but there's just not much room here on the exit of turn 2 onto the back stretch to be side by side. Oh yeah. That was a nice line through there that time. I don't know what it is about the UMP Modified, but I really just enjoy the way that it drives. It sort of drives off, I've said this before, but it drives off like the right front. Feels like that's where the car pivots from. But I really wasn't sure how it would go around here, to be honest, and Seems like it handles it just fine. I don't have custom controls set up for this car, so I've got no tear-off button. I think I say that every single time I do one of these videos, but no tear-off button, so we'll deal with that. Oh! Nose right in on the guardrail around the inside there. That's really good fun, guys. Right, what we need to do now is I need to come back in the next car, which I can't remember what we normally do next, so it'll be a surprise for everybody, but we'll come back in the next car and we'll certainly wind the track state significantly towards use, so then we get a bit better of an idea of what the track's like as the track wear comes in, and hopefully we'll get some idea of how it's like to drive when it's a bit more worn. So we'll do that right now. I can't remember what car it is. It might actually be the Big Block Modified next, so we'll see. Be back for that in just a second. Guys, how on earth could I have forgotten about the Dirt Midget? The Midget's next in the list. So that's what we're going out here with now. I'm not really sure about a Dirt Midget around here, to be honest. It's a big track for a Midget. But anyway, we'll see how we go. We've moved the time of day. We're now in the afternoon, and I moved the track state all the way to 40%. So we'll see what it's like. But fingers crossed. I'm a bit worried about getting the car down here into the first corner without dying, but no, we're good. I can drive. We're good. Oh, there are some bumps. Okay, so this is interesting. This is what I was wondering, because like I said, my exposure to Super Dirt Week is pretty limited. I've seen a couple of the races here before, but in my experience, it's a pretty rough track. Like I said, even at the top of the video, when I did that R Factor video, the track was extremely rough. And I remember that being a bit of a talking point from this track at the time in real life, but in my experience, I think it's a sort of pretty bumpy sort of track normally all the time. I don't know if that's ever really changed that much, so that's a challenging thing to deal with, especially in cars like this one. Especially when you're going so fast. It is a really fast track because it's a bit bigger, so it is fast. And I think at the minute, I've just got to keep driving around the slick that you can see starting to form in the mid-track, because I don't really see... Oh, that was close to the wall. I don't really see me being able to drive underneath. Let's try it. No, that's straight through the slick. That's not the way. It is not the way. Of course, the iRacing generated track surfaces are not very authentic to what you'd get if people were actually racing around here. There's no way you'd have a grippy line around the bottom with it all completely slick in the middle like this in a naturally progressing track, but look at that. Oh, yeah. That was nice. Yeah, not bad, actually. Sometimes I even surprise myself. We didn't get it right that time though. We're in the slick there. Interesting. I'm very interested to see. I'm going to go to 100% track state when we get to the big block. But this halfway there track state at the minute at 40%, pretty challenging. We've got the Wingless Sprintcar next too, guys. I have no idea. Should we just go to like 75% and hope we don't crash? Maybe. Midget's just so much fun to drive. I say that about a lot of these cars every time I do these videos, but yeah, I never race them. Time and availability for Australian time zone is always an issue for this stuff, but I do just enjoy driving around in these cars, cutting laps. Alright, well that's the Midget anyway. I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's pretty cool. I really enjoyed that actually. On a middle of the road track state in the Midget around here. That was fun. We do have, like I said, the Wingless Sprintcar next, so God help me. But let's go watch a couple laps of the replay of this thing and then we'll come back for that. Alright guys, I'm always super nervous when we drive these things. Non-wing sprint car, I've gone for the 360, not the 410, because I don't have a death wish. And track state is at 70%, still in the afternoon. We've had a few big crashes trying to drive these cars in these videos over the time. And they always take a bit of getting used to, and this is a fast track and it's slick. So we're going to see whether or not we can survive. Oh my god. It's terrifying. Oh! Oh, scary. It's not too bad in 1 and 2, but in 3 and 4, which is the corner that I thought would be the easier one at the start of this video, is the one where you're right up against that wall. Oh, right where there's a gate in the fence. And that's where you've got to put the right rear up against it. In 1 and 2, it's actually not so bad. Oh! Every lap, it scares me. I don't have a tear off for this car either. I want to see if I can go to the bottom. I don't like it. Pedal it. I mean, it's slower, isn't it? And nowhere near as spectacular. That's not a line for these cars. That's not the way. Oh. And don't judge me because I know that I'm not doing it right. Oh! I don't care. It's as good as it gets. That is just genuinely terrifying. Because you're sure as anything that you're going in the wall. Tried to stay away from it that time, and it was safer but slower. This is always the way. Oh, that was close to the wall there though. We bounced. The bumps are really quite vicious. And the slick is certainly slick. Oh. Oh. Alright, I need to stop before I have a heart failure. Guys, that's the Wingless Sprintcar. Fun and scary all at once on a slick track here at Oswego. So, all right. Next we actually have the big block modified, guys. So that's what it's really all about, isn't it? We'll come back and check that out next. Right, this is what the big block modified's all about. Oswego dirt. I was tempted even to nearly do a 358 modified and a big block out here, but I think that we'll just use the big block, give us a good idea of what's what. We've got 100% track state, and it's now the late afternoon. So let's get out there and see what this is all about. The big block is certainly a car that I don't think you really need to run the boards in necessarily. I mean, you can do that, but when I think about big block racing, I think about particularly these New York tracks that they just go slick, like black slick. They're like dusty tarmac, and they're long races, so tyre wear's a consideration. And you just see these guys driving around nice and straight, nice and steady through the middle, looking after their stuff. I don't really think of big blocks as the sort of cars that go up and bang the boards down to go fast. Well, we are going to go check out that top here in a minute, but few bumps. It is really quite bumpy. The exit off of turn 4 here is pretty good. The entry into 1 here isn't even that bad, depending on the line. There's a bit of a bump there, another one there, one in the middle, another one there, and then these couple of big holes on the exit of the corner, and the big holes in the entry to 3 as well. Certainly got a lot of character about it, this track, which is one of the things I really like about it, but see if we go a little better up high. Ooh, that is so narrow, that top, just after the gate that's in the fence. Oh. It is fun though, isn't it? Oh! Ah, yes. Too much. Too much. I got it carried away. Oh. But as fun as it is to go and run up there, I don't really know that it's necessary in these cars. See if we can get down at all on the bottom. There's not much down there really, is there? At 100% track state, you wouldn't expect there to be. I don't know if it's just the appeal of this car combination, like this car on this track, but so far this is the one that I would want to race around here. Of all the things that we've driven so far, this is the one that stands out to me as the one that will race the best. Just feels right. Whoa, 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 through the big holes. And I mean, the middle feels about as good as anywhere, right through the slick. That's so much fun, guys. That's really fun. Yeah, I've really enjoyed that. What we'll do is we'll come back. We'll go again here in the NASCAR truck because you guys always seem to enjoy that. So NASCAR truck coming up next. I'm not going to lie, guys. I have no idea what this is going to drive like. There's no Eldora setup anymore for the truck, so the setup I had, which was an old Eldora setup, doesn't pass tech, so I've sort of just hacked at it to make it work. I have no idea if it's going to be any good or not, but it passed tech, so that's all that matters. We're back to 70% track state. We're now sunset. And let's see what happens when we try and drive a truck around here. This is forever sliding. We're good, we're good. Oh, these things are unreal fun to drive on dirt. Oh, we're good. Oh, just got a bit of snap oversteer there, just caught it. Does get tricky right in the mid corner. Oh, that was mint. Oh, that's too far. Too far. Oh, bonk. I got a bit aggressive there. I can't even like really talk while I'm driving this thing because it takes all of your concentration just to not suck in it. It's rewarding though when you get it right. Like, it's just a really, really fun thing to drive. Yeah, there we go. Ah, rip the lip. What do you guys reckon? Should NASCAR be running their stuff on dirt more or less? I love it, but I get that it's not traditional. Anyway, that's the truck, guys. Gonna come back with something different next. Normally we do the Pro 2 trucks, but I'm not gonna do that tonight because I don't think that'll be any good on a track this big, to be honest. So we're gonna do something else and come back right after this. Check it out. Alright, welcome to the SRX car. If there was ever a car that was a me type of car, this would be it. Something that can drive on dirt, ovals, road courses, everything. This would be the one. I've never driven this car. I just had to buy it to do this. So I've got no idea what to expect here. I put the Eldora setup on it. I mean, let's just see what it's like. So this is very much a car impression, first impression, as much as it is a dirt track one, but I figured this would be better suited to this track than perhaps the rear-wheel drive Pro 2 truck. So, I don't know, let's find out, guys. I have no idea what to expect. We're back to, I think we went back to 20% track state, all the way back. It's still sunset. I wasn't sure how hard this thing would be to drive, so I thought I'll make the track pretty easy to drive on. Let's see what we get. The feedback I've had so far is that this thing is not very good to drive. From anyone who I've heard from that drives it, or has driven it, most people don't like it, which tells me I probably will. Oh. Oh, just hang on. Brakes are squeaky. It's really interesting. It drives a little bit like the NASCAR truck. Just perhaps not quite as difficult to drive, a little bit more, I say that as I can't drive it, but more gripped up than the truck perhaps, but it's got that big pendulum thing about it where like once it's sideways it just stays sideways. Gets loose in the mid corner like the truck, but it probably grips a little bit better, drives into the corners a little bit better than the truck. Yeah, it's very, once you get it sideways, it's certainly sideways. It's hard to drive, and I like that. And I think this was a better choice around here than the Pro 2 truck would have been, like I said. On the brakes. I also love the whole idea of this car. Like, it's like a return to iRacing. It's just a jack of all trades car. It's really raw. It's not super advanced or anything like that. It's just a cool car. I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to drive more of it. But I think for the sake of this video, that's probably enough, guys. It doesn't really do a lot to help me with you on experiencing the track. It's really just more about the car there. So do I think it works around here? Absolutely. I think it does. I think you could race this around this track and have quite a lot of fun, actually. So we've only got 2 cars left, the 2 big ones, the super late models and the 410 Winged Sprintcar. So late model next, guys. Don't go anywhere. This thing is just one of those badass cars, isn't it? Super late model. It's now night time. I brought the track state right back up to 65% for this. It just sounds so good. We'll head out and we'll see what it's like. I'm excited for this. Alright, here we go. Like with a lot of the cars so far, I'm just going to start with trying to stay in the middle until I get a feeling for how the things drive, because again, I haven't driven this thing in months. I only took half a lap, it already feels natural. Right out to the fence. Oh, I just touched it actually. I forgot how big these things are. I thought I was going to get it again actually. I panicked. Yes. Oh, it's an animal. Well, we got into it a bit that time, but that was a bit too much. Feels like that could be a line around here. I don't know if it'll work so well in 1 and 2. Maybe, actually. Because the track tends to wear through the middle a lot more. I guess that depends a lot on the cars driving on it, but sort of going in narrow and sliding up high on the exit where there's a bit more juice. Kind of like a slider line, but it's a really deep slider line because you got to get right around the corners before you come up the track. I like that there. Grab some of that grip on the outside at the exit of the corners. just to try and stay out of the slick and stay away from those really tricky fences. The one down here, it's turns 1 and 2. It comes up at you as well. Not nearly as bad as the one down here in turn 3 and 4, but it sort of sneaks up on you. This one here's the one that's tricky. You sort of just got to be so ginger through the middle of the corner. Can't be sideways at all. You got to straighten the car up. You get it here as well though, just there. You just got to straighten the car up a bit so you don't hit the fence. So there could be a good slider line there. Probably at both ends of the track. Come in narrow, drift up. Whoa, it's too much jandle. I'm surprised, given the size of the track, I thought it would be just fairly easy. I knew that turns 1 and 2 was a little bit unique, but I felt like it would just be fairly easy, but there's not a heap of banking. It's tricky, it's actually tricky, and it feels like there's a lot of variation, a lot of line variation. Especially as you get into some of these faster cars, so I like that a lot. That's the super late model. We've got one car left, and that's the 410 Winged Sprintcar. We're going to come back and rip some laps right after this. Let's do it. 410 Winged Sprintcar. Just on the iRacing provided Oswego set. I'm going to put the wing forwards. I don't know why it's trunked. I took a heap of the track wear out. We're at like 15%, I think, or something. So we should be able to go fast. Who doesn't love fast? Let's see what it's like. Oh, bit of a stutter. It's going so fast, my computer couldn't keep up. Oh, it's rough. God, you don't realise how rough it is in the other cars. Especially on a low track state like this, I thought it would have been pretty smooth. Oh. Oh no! Oh, there's no excuse for crashing when the track's like this. Although the setup feels very different to what I normally drive, but... Oh. Force feedback is going insane. Just trying to rip the wheel straight out of my hands. You gotta muscle it around. I like it. It's fast. I would just hammer down and no lift. Oh, I probably should have been a lift right there, but it's pretty much no lift. You sort of just got to navigate around the bumps because they're all over the place. We are just on the default setup, so we are heavy with fuel. I don't know what it starts with, but presumably 20 gallons or more. Oh. Can we go near the inside wall without hitting it? Let's see. You have to lift a little bit to get down there. Not really. I mean, you could, but you're going to be slow. Wasn't too bad. Oh, we hit it. It's definitely not as fast as just ripping around when the track's like this. It's hard work though, I'll tell you what, my arms are already sore. I feel like as it wears, it's going to be really, really challenging. Particularly depending on what way the bumps sort of form as you go. We've seen what they're like on a heavy track. Sorry, on a heavily worn track. And you're going to get holes, you're going to get all that fun stuff, which will make it pretty challenging. There is going to be a top, but there's not much banking. Like, I don't mind that there's not much banking. It means that you're probably going to get multiple grooves. I just don't know how rough they'll be. I mean, I think the racing around here might actually be okay once the track starts to wear, so that's really interesting. It's a lot of fun, guys. I really enjoyed that. I think this is a great addition. I'd love to see more of the pavement tracks just throwing dirt on them, to be honest. I think there's a lot of good opportunity out there for that, but I get that it's not necessarily legit because they don't do that so much in real life. I enjoyed this one, guys. I thought I would, and I did, so I hope you did as well. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Hobbo88, twitch.tv/Hobbo88 if you want to check out the live streams. Don't forget the Discord channel as well. That's linked in the description below. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in the next one.